ask, I bought myself tuning forks recently for all 7 chakras. I don't know how to use them. I was really drawn to the sounds. I've heard it in Reiki sessions that I was in, and I just wanted to ask you, how do you use them? Because some people use it on the body parts, or on crystals, or like when you create a sound, dung. What how do you do it?
Okay, so I have been trained by somebody by the name Eileen McCusick, Biofield. If you go to her, so what she teaches is not on the body, but in the field, and there's a process to that, which is what I use here as well in the session. So what I actually do is I tune into. I don't have a frequency by chakra. It's a set frequency. There are two, three tuning forks I use, but it's much more about the sense you get from the tuning fork on the biofield of the person or the group of people. So it's a different mechanism. I recommend you can train with her. I mean, if you like, she does now online classes as well. And
what was her name, Ellie?
Her name is Eileen McCusick.
Elaine McCusick.
Yeah, Biofield tuning. Yeah, Biofield tuning.
Okay, so you basically just take the fork, and it has two parts of it. So you just put it in the air and it creates a sound, or you put it on gong, just physically. How do you do it?
No, it's in the air. It's in the field. It's in the field.
Really...
It's not on any part of the body. None of you are here, but your field is here.
That's very interesting. Thank you so much.
You're most welcome.
Thank you.
Yes, I haven't joined your sessions for quite a while. We've had load shedding this side, and unfortunately it always seemed to happen at the time when you have your sessions. Anyhow, so just to recap, my situation was having been molested by my father and my step cousin, and I had managed to work past that. However, 2 months ago, and then I'd stopped speaking to my mother when I started my treatment with my psychiatrist at the beginning of last year. He said to me that, she's toxic in my life and I should work on myself first, which I did. And it was probably the best thing I had done, because then I was able to start a relationship with her again, very slowly. But then something had happened about 2 months ago. She spoke about the situation of the molestation, and I discovered that she actually knew about my step cousin and had an idea about my father. And I then asked her, why she didn't do anything about it, because at the time I was very little. And I almost felt like she made excuses. She said, well, the day your brother told me, I told my brother, and I told him never to tell anyone, because I was told by the molester that my family would die. So at the age of 6, 7 years old, those are the things that you would believe. And he told my mother, and she said to me, I went looking for him and I couldn't find him that afternoon. And my heart sank, Manu, because I thought for the rest of my life, why is it that she never did anything? So for me, it was a lot of anger, and the anxiety built up again. And the same thing with my father, that she knew, and she never did anything about it, or even spoke to me about it. So I'm finding that difficult now, just in the past 2 months, to even find a way to start communicating. I feel anxious when she comes to my home to visit my child. I don't want to see her. I feel the energy is really bad. My throat, as you were speaking, my throat was closing up. I felt as if I was being choked. And my weak point is my solar plexus. So I've been having issues with that for the past year and a half, really badly. And I'm still on medication. But the trigger was when she had said to me that she knew about all of these things. And I had forgiven the perpetrators, but then she brought this up and she couldn't acknowledge that she could have done something about it. She couldn't, she apologized, but it was, I'm apologizing to you, she said, but there was nothing I could do. And I don't understand that.
Yeah. Okay, so there are two things that come to me. One is that there is a reason why the second your throat and your identity, the third center, the solar plexus, is having issue because that thing was in your system still unresolved, and she came, even though and I absolutely understand for your system that it is going through a shock to discover something, but that thing was unresolved all the time for your little one. You see, you were 5 or 6 year old. The 5 or 6 year old has not yet understood why nobody came to rescue her, and now feels even more like you feel. It's actually not you, but the 5-year-old which is making these comments or this heaviness that you feel. My advice would be that now that you are aware of it since a few months, if you do not do nothing, then the anger towards her will continue for a long, long time, and it will, of course, get into your system because that's what you're carrying. But the fact that you are here and you verbalize it, because I imagine you connected to your mother as well into this session, and it may not be today. Today, I don't know if you got permission to go and work with that little one, but I recommend to continue to work with the little one, which holds this energy towards the mother, and you being strong, and that's what you have to actually bring into yourself, the inner strength and willingness to say, what happened to you, you understand it, and you know now what all was going on that time, because you work with the perpetrators and you let them go. But you also at that time did not work on the one that could have saved you, because in the system, and I can also speak from myself, I mean, I had similar, I had perpetrator and I had my mother who put me in the bed with the perpetrator, so there were two.
Yeah.
And for a long time I never understood why I could not build a big relationship with my mother, trusting one. Never understood till I worked with it. And so you can forgive the perpetrator, but there are others that are in the picture that were missed. So I think the chance for you to do now is to go back, find the little one, work with her to the protector that came in, because what came in today in your awareness is a protector that holds you, holds that energy in charge for the little one, for what the mother did not do. And so when you will heal the little one, it'll shift your energy toward your mother.
Okay.
Make sense?
Yes.
Makes sense. And so do it very gently. Okay, there's no push, but there is a kind of, so every day just go into connecting to this, and your willingness to both work with the little one, the six-year-old that went through that experience, but also holding this. She will tell you, because now she has the awareness. She already knew at that time that somebody could have helped, and now she has awareness that the mother could have helped me, but she has to let it go so that you can be free.
Yeah, that was a huge shock because I thought, I had worked through this and I was doing just fine. And when she said it, I was so shocked. I couldn't say anything. I didn't ask why you didn't actually do anything after that day. You can't say you couldn't find him that specific day. What about all the other years thereafter?
Yeah.
And then she said to me, she wants to get his phone number. I said, I don't think that would be the correct thing to do. I'm now 57 years old. Where were you when I was little? That's when I needed you, not now.
Yeah, correct. Exactly.
So,
So
all I
it is
wanted
your,
was for her to acknowledge that she was sorry for this and she couldn't do that. So
and
I feel
so
hurt
the,
about that.
yeah, correct. Exactly. It's not you, it's a 6-year-old that is hurt about that. She's the one who is saying why you did not save me then. And but if the 6-year-old says, okay, I can come to you, Lynn, now, and she feels that you're ready for her, then she's going to release the energy that she holds with the mother, because you are going to tell her, if you take one of the recording of healing the little one, any one of them, okay, what the little one, when there's a question when we do the healing of the wounded one, the trauma, there's a question there which is, what should have happened then that did not happen? It's a very big question. And this is what she's going to say. Well, should have happened. And then the question is, are you going to take care of her now? Okay? When she feels that you will take care of her, then she will come to you and she will release that. And then you become free from it, because she gets free from it.
Okay.
Yeah?
Thank you.
Thank you, Lynn. Bless you. Bless your little one.
Thank you so much.
And just keep going back to her. Just keep connecting with her. You wrote, my parents broke up when I was 1.5 years old. I never saw my father until I was 20 years old, when I went and looked for him myself, and my mom left abroad when I was 10 years old. I grew up with my grandmother. I have for the moment a lot of health problems, pneumonia, cysts, and my muscles are really weak. I feel I have no inner power to change my life situation. I feel completely powerless. Yeah, so there are two things, Georgina, I can recommend to you if you're coming here first time. One is, I would recommend that whatever you could do with these sessions, they are all meant to bring you this, what you call inner strength or energy, because that's the whole idea, is to find that leaf which has strength inside, slowly make it become stronger and stronger, so that it can say, well, Georgina, sorry, your name, Georgina, we are both, which means your inner self and everything around you will work together to make it work. So that's what you get into. Okay, there is a kind of It starts slowly, but it starts to build as an inner strength. And see if you can do that. The second thing that I would recommend is, if you've not been here before, is we also run separately a group which does coherence healing. Some people here are coming there from time to time. Sometimes you need to sense unconditional love to your system, because you say, I don't have strength to do myself. But if you can master this, if you get access to unconditional love coming to you from people that are non-strangers, then your inner system actually starts to feel empowered and powered to say, I can do something. And there is a hope that starts to come in. And as the hope starts, then you put more energy into the hope. And the more energy you put into the hope, the more you start, and you reverse the trend. So I absolutely can understand that there are events from your past that have created a health condition, but there's always a mind in the middle. Unfortunately, you were little and you had no chance to do anything about it at that time. But now you have an ability, the same mind, that can turn things around. And I've seen so many miracles in this lifetime, I can tell you, that everything is possible wherever you set your mind to. But yes, in the beginning, your system is looking for an evidence. Show me that something can change, and then I will work on it. So that's why what I would recommend is both things. One is keep coming in and doing the exercise. Even if you shift little, your system recognizes it. Even if you feel good for a period of time, even if it's 1 hour, it listens to it. Okay, and it says, yes, there is a chance. Yes, there's something I can do about it. Okay. And then you start to come out. Okay, so I'm going to post a link to this group, which anybody is welcome to. It's again free of cost. We run it. It's a beautiful group of healers, 800 of them, that come together every day and bring love to people from all around the world. And so you're welcome to also come in there and see if you want to book yourself session and see how it helps. And sometime, yeah, you're here, so your system is looking for something for you, and that's part of your gratitude toward it, is saying that, yeah, I can do something about it. So I'm just going to put the link to book. It's called Coherence Healing, and I'm just going to post the link. So you're more than welcome to just book yourself in and come in, okay? If it makes sense. Okay. Thank you, Georgina. Thank you for being here. Thank you to all your system for bringing you here. And ask your system, give me one chance. I'm ready to jump. Don't give up, please.
Sure. Hi, Manu. Hi, everyone. Thank you for holding the session and also for opening up about your story too, and for other fellows for sharing the space. It's really so gentle and welcoming. Like, even when you give us a heads up about changing the tuning fork, just knowing what's going on, like, thank you very much. I had a question. This was, I've come to a few sessions, and I really appreciate that you stay after too and take our questions. Sometimes the questions are even more like connecting, just as connecting or more connecting than the session. So I was curious, at first when you were doing the tuning forks, it sounded like you were going to start at the solar plexus and then like just below it, but then you changed to the throat. And that was a question. And then I wanted to share what I experienced and see what you thought of it. Do you want me? Go ahead.
Yeah, I can answer the first one. So I use a pendulum. So basically, all of your energy is on my bed. I have crystals for every center. So I use pendulum to know which energy to work with based on why everyone is here. And it took me to the solar plexus, and it said, and then suddenly it changed and say no, it's not solar plexus. Actually, it's throat chakra. And then it also went and said, well, it's not only throat chakra right, but it's actually left side of the throat chakra. That's what it said. So what I've learned in this journey with tuning forks is that they are far more. When I say they, the whole system with your energy and the intention, etc., is so much more powerful than any of my intellectual that I can do. So I actually never question my tuning forks or whatever they say. So I mean, okay, to say we go there, we go there. So that's why it changed.
Awesome. Thank you. Yeah, it was interesting. Just like the other fellow who shared, a lot of times when I tune into myself about something kind of traumatic, it's at my solar plexus. But I was actually holding the phone in my left hand today too. And then when you said throat, my hand happened like it was holding the phone on the left side of my face. So I was like, well, that's interesting. But so the other part is today was a little different because when you said like ask it, which we often do, and you often guide us in the sessions to ask our feelings, you know, what's going on. And where I started was kind of trauma from my most recent relationship that's finished in October, but we were together for 15 months. And I think it was trauma related to probably both of our childhood family dynamics, but like also twisted in with addiction, like my partner's addiction. And so there was like yelling and gaslighting, berating. And towards the end of it, I just didn't feel safe anymore. And so when I realized that this partner actually, as much as I had tried to not have it be like my partner or like my father, some of his characteristics are very much like my father. It's just, I think it like surfaced over time, just how angry his defense system was that would then get geared towards me. But let's see, so I began feeling almost the type of feeling that like if someone's, well, when I sob, like kind of like a numbing in the face or so, like around here area. And of course this like a bit of tightness in the chest is what I started with. Then as we went through it, I found it actually really like it's like the feeling to ask the feeling, it didn't want to separate from me. It was so close. And so like unlike other times I felt like I could actually like I
Have
don't
it in
know.
front, detach from
Yeah.
it. Yeah.
And this was like right there, and it was hard to just like see it sort of, or I don't know if I like really see it, but so
Sense it.
so I felt like a type of, when you asked how we felt towards it, I felt a type of concern and helplessness towards it.
Yeah.
And then when you said what like what is it doing, like why is it there, and it's afraid to get back into the same situation, because it's like, oh, you know, you do therapy, you try to be aware of stuff, you try to like read all these self-help books and watch all these YouTubes or like TED Talks, and it's just sometimes really tough. And then what it needed to relax was to stand with myself and like believe, I don't know, maybe like believe in my goodness, but it said like cherish and delight in your presence. Because at the same time, I was asking myself, well, how much do I have to cry this out? And how many, it's like, I think I've cried a lot at like 12-step meetings or whatnot. And I had these waves of like a bit of like convulsion sort of as I was feeling stuff, and also like my hands began to feel a bit like numb. And it's interesting too that the years that you went through, I'm 39, 40, and like they're very spread across the whole life almost, which makes evenly spread, which makes a lot of sense to me. My mom went through 2 miscarriages before me, and I think the house was probably loud and a bit abusive with my dad's rage before I was born. So I don't, and also of course in my childhood. So anyway, I just I felt it was interesting how I was so close to it, and then I wasn't really sure, like even saying to you, oh, it's telling me to share, to be with myself and find grounding. Like I almost don't know if that's really what it is, or if I'm just like full of myself, like, oh, you need to spend even more time with yourself. And it's like, yeah, thanks. I don't know if there's a clear question in there, but
No, good. It's okay. Just by sharing as well, you're allowing a part of you to say it out, and that itself is assuring. Just to say it out. Back to what your system is telling you. It's not allowing to separate is because it doesn't yet feel that you understand it as well. Okay, so and because you are kind of being in that energy, and that is okay. But when you ask the question, it started to tell you, okay, what it wants you to do, so that it can feel, it can allow you to take over, be in control. Okay, because now it's saying, well, I have to take control because you are not so strong. That's why it's doing. And don't judge yourself when you cry, because that's a very good signal when you stop to cry that you're done. It's a very crying. It's absolutely wonderful to be able to cry, because there's a point in time that you will not cry, and you will know you are, that thing is no more in your system affecting your life. So it's a very nice barometer. So don't judge yourself, or don't let it put you down ever. It's okay. It's okay to be emotional. It's okay to cry. It's okay to let go. It also feels lighter afterward, by the way. So when you cry, you feel light. So it's better than anything else. The other thing is, what comes to me is that go back to the recording and redo and redo and redo every day. Just that part of it, till a point in time will come that actually your system will say, you get it. I think let's go and heal this little one. Let's go and heal either the trauma from your boyfriend, or actually it will go back in time to where something that you, because there's a connection to your father, that's what you're saying, which came through. Okay. And many times I've seen with experience with people, working with people, is that even if the father was abusive or narcissist or whatever it is, you take on that quality because somehow when you're a little one, you were also connected to him, because daughters get connected to the father, and so there is a sense of connection. But then there was a story with the mother getting abused by the father, and so there's a conflict to the little one, and it doesn't know what to do. So what it does then, it finds partners afterwards that mimic the father, because that was unfinished business, okay, so to say. But still that little one needs to be healed, whatever it is. either it is missing father's energy that didn't go through, so it felt it had to do that, or father was taken away, and that could be the story. So whatever is the story, I think it's good to go back there and heal the little one. So those are two things that come from what you said. So one is keep doing this so that you can start to go to a place of compassion for you rather than being in that energy. Okay. And then from there, it may lead you to either heal the little one or the trauma of the relationship, because either both or one of them is kind of holding you in this space. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you. Thank you, Manu. Thank you, you all for sharing. It's been a great experience for me. I have some questions.
Go ahead, my dear.
Thank you. So I tend to think that, believe that if I don't have evidence, something like if I don't experience something right away, I think it's not working. And this is the second time that I've been on the workshop that my part spoke to me. And I only have been able to identify one part. And I read in IFS, it says no bad parts. This part causes me tremendous pain. And I call it the mute, the mute one. But I decided to change its name to the quiet one.
Oh, good.
Because I felt like I got that from being on this workshop. So the question, what would happen if that pain and anger, resentment, I can't even fathom forgiving these people, whoever they are, multitudes of people and in my grown life. And the part, I asked that part that chaos creates in my life. It internally and externally in situations, and recreates negative situations like my family of origin. So I asked that part, and I think that's the part that is holding on to the anger and resentment, or has it, but I'm not sure. And I asked that part, what would happen, or what would need to happen if, you
For
and
it to relax.
You weren't able to let go, and it said I would cease to exist.
So it's afraid of hearing, yeah. Yeah. So,
It doesn't want to
yeah.
hear
So,
about forgiveness, or it doesn't
yeah.
want to hear about much.
Yeah. Okay. So, okay. But, okay. So there's a good news in all this is that it's speaking to you. Okay.
Yeah.
And that's what it feels as of now. And if you, Melanie, can accept it to say that and say, I understand you, this is how you feel now. Is it okay that we continue to have a daily dialogue so that we can talk to each other about other things? Because in the present moment, that part of you has that belief system that if you get rid of me, because all these protective parts is just I think for everyone, all the parts, especially when you go through extreme trauma, okay, and you were unable to, there was no mechanism to save you, quote unquote, these parts become so overprotective that they say, well, no matter what happens, we are not going to let her take control of her system. We are running the show. And when you go to a therapy, especially any kind of therapy, and the first thing that the therapists say, well, I'm going to release your that, or get rid of it, They all go inside and they say, wow, 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 here he's coming and he wants to get rid of us. And so we are going to dig in further. And so they start to send the signal out that, oh, if you get rid of me, then you don't exist. That's what it's doing. So it's like a threat. It's like a threat. Okay. But what he's afraid of, he's really afraid of, is going back to the time when it all started.
Okay.
And that's why a lot of therapy things is very, sometimes people get trauma in therapy, traumatized by therapy, is because when you have a protective part and somebody comes and say, oh, let me find it and get rid of it, then the inner system goes, no, no, no. We saved her or him, and we did everything to prevent further damage to happen. We are not going to let, at any cost, her to get back into that place where we cannot save. So they don't let go the protection mechanism at any cost. And if you read, because you're reading No Bad Parts, Dick Schwartz, this is one of the key things he found out, and he used to call them backlash from your inner parts. Saying if a therapist want to go and say, oh, let me find this thing which is bad that happened and we're going to heal it without asking permission. You see everywhere in the script, there's always a permission. And if they say no, nobody goes there. Saying, okay, we can try and understand. Because it means that they are not yet feeling safe with you yet, or with the mechanics that you're following. Okay. And so it keeps staying in that place. But when you start to have communication with it, and it starts to feel that, oh, Melanie is serious about it, and she's doing it in a loving way, and she's going to create an environment where she feels safe, etc., etc. Remember, because last time you talked about something else coming from this partner of yours, I mean, the friend of yours. Okay. It's going to keep, it starts to communicate with you what needs to happen for it to be relaxed and be less present. So just be grateful to it that it came through and says, can we keep dialogue every day? Just communicate with each other.
Okay. The part said to me, it would cease to exist. And that's how I feel about.
Okay, it would cease, not you would cease to exist, it would cease to exist.
Yes, and I identify with that as letting go of, because I've never really had an opportunity to speak with a therapist or even people in 12-step program, really what happened to me, the ritualistic abuse. I mean, the message I got was shut up and be grateful and don't talk and don't trust and don't feel. And so it sort of mimics that parts, because I feel like if I forgave these people, and I don't even know how to do that, then everything I experienced would just be whitewashed and never talked about.
Okay, so can I ask you one question then, Melanie? What if you, in a very safe environment, verbalized what you went through, and being in a safe space with permission from all your inner parts, because all of them have to agree that I'm going to speak out for all of us.
Well, yeah, I would like to do that with a therapist. I don't have one. But yes, I feel that that's necessary to heal, to get that out of
To be able to verbalize.
Yeah, I would like to do that. Yes.
Okay, so check with them. So do one thing now that they came through, do a daily check with them, and have a conversation with all of them and say, well, do you all agree, and how do you feel about that, and see if they all start to become chirpy and alive, saying, oh, that will be wonderful, etc. So see that if you create that environment inside of you, what will happen is the day you'll verbalize, they'll all go in rest and they say, wow, Done. And you're free, Melanie.
No, could you repeat the last part? I didn't hear
I
about.
said, so what you do is you go, so the one that you connected today, you
Yes.
go back, keep your conversation going with it, okay? And ask the question to all your parts, whoever wants to come in, saying, what if we verbalize everything and share it with someone, and that is external, all that we went through, will you all be okay? And will you all feel relaxed and relieved after that?
Okay, I can do that.
Yeah, you're asking permission for your inner system to verbalize what maybe one part of you wants it to be out there.
This part is very upset with me. It says,
Yeah, you
and
didn't
I said,
verbalize. Yeah,
no,
you're.
and it says, it just said to me, I think you're to blame. You did all this. So I think this part thinks I didn't do a good job at taking care of it, which I didn't because I abandoned myself. So it doesn't
There
trust
you
me.
go. Yeah, there you go. So by conversation with them, and by bringing them into your conversation, what you are doing, Melanie, is you're building trust with them, because it's not the therapist or anybody out or me here or the core and sealing group will bring you the ultimate place where you actually switch from being here to there. It's going to be you and your system with you, supporting you and saying, Melanie, let's go. We are done here. This life is done. Let's jump to the other side, and we are all with you in that journey. Then you're free.
Can I ask another question?
Yeah, go ahead. Of course.
Well, before I say that, when you were going through the exact years that you mentioned,
Mm.
5, 11, and
9 to 11. It said,
yeah,
first it said 10, then it said 11, then it said, no, there's somebody in the 9.
I had those were significant changes. The for traumatic experiences I had, and this description around my throat closing. Yes, that was. I wanted to sing opera. I have the voice. I just couldn't do it because I would get in front of people and my throat, it was like a rope. Someone was pulling a rope on two sides and nothing would come out. And it took me a long time to even express myself because I was so afraid. And all that anger made me, I believe, sick, my liver sick. And so to this day, I can't sing in front of other people because my throat closes.
Uh,
I'm
so
powerless.
can you ask the second question to your system? What if you sing to this beautiful group here and you sang for all of us?
Oh, maybe another time.
Another time, no, I know. Get them all in agreement. I would like them all
Oh,
to be in agreement with you, and you have an all agreement. Because I can say, I mean, I know some of us have been here for a long time. I think the voice that you have, Melanie, today is an absolutely wonderful voice. There's clarity. There is a lot of peace in your voice, right? At least from what I hear. I don't see you, but I hear you. And so there's something that you have been shifting inside. And so let that part, let that thing continue. And you said, well, I want to verbalize what happened to me and don't want it to go. And what if I want to sing? I'm going to sing. We have the core and healing group. You can sing there as well. They would love it. They would love it. They would love it.
they're gonna take me off with a gong. I know. I,
Whatever.
okay. There's another question which I think would be, I think people in the chat, someone mentioned something. How does one, the thing about forgiveness is there's different definitions and I think different levels of it. I once read the forgiveness is not that the self I can't forgive. It has to come from a higher power. I mean, I know I can't just snap my fingers and do it.
Mm.
And forgiveness could be like not wanting to see the people punished or accepting that they're not going to change. And I too have a lot of exposure to the corporate world and
Mm.
in a very, very with a lot of vicious experiences, and especially in the medical world, which is very legal, which I'm involved in as part of circumstances and not choice because of my health. And so my question is like, when these kinds of mindset, it's sort of like blame the victim mentality. There's not a lot of compassion in the circles that I'm exposed to, or forgiveness or understanding. How does one? What I'm experiencing is that I keep getting re-traumatized in the same. It looks like a
Mm.
different situation, but it's the same thing happening over and over and with the same type of corporate, agency, social workers, doctors, lawyers, over and over and over. And I don't know what I'm doing wrong, but like, I don't like, these are not people I want to be around.
Yeah.
And I literally just feel like I'm going to die from them. I get so afraid.
Yeah. So, from my experience, because I got bullied and really, I mean, to a level which is unheard. But I know in corporate world this is what happens. And what it did to me is it brought me where I am now. I don't think I would have been here if those guys had not done what they did. So the first time when somebody took, I worked, I mean, I didn't say in the details there. I used to work 7 days a week for 18, 19 years. I sacrificed my family, sacrificed everything. I used to love what I was doing. I just loved it. And I was so much in love with my work, with my team, with everybody. I literally created a 1,500 people team from scratch over 20 years. And then one day somebody says, well done, and kick me out. And so what it did to me is to brought me into this place. And I realized that, oh God, if he had not come in, I would have never done it. And so actually he saved my life. I went and shook his hand on New Year and he went red in his face. But that's the day something so strong shifted. Now, in the process to go there, I had to be aware of all those things, saying, what is a gift that this brought? And in the process that you're doing, if you internalize this one aspect that people come into your life where either you can spend energy into what bad they bring to you, or if you allow your system to ask the question, what is this bringing that can bring something good for me, then you actually shift your whole attention, energy. It's like freeing up yourself from all the time and energy you're going to spend into what they took away from you. Rather, you will take the time and put it into what is going to emerge for me. And it always does.
I hear what you're saying. These people have power. I have an imbalance of power in my life, because I'm on disability. It, I
Yeah.
have to ask permission from these people who I feel that I'm at their mercy at. And there's a lot of power. And so the same situation is, it's like, I brought flowers to these nurses that I resent yesterday, that are just I feel bullied by, but I just brought flowers. I didn't really want to. I just did it. And I'm just saying, like, I can't just divorce myself from them because there's no replacements yet. like my, you know what I mean? Like,
So there's a sense of, and I think, and I'm not okay. So, Melanie, I'm not saying that you do immediately as a way to change the story. Is if you can start to spend time, energy on by asking the question, what is that something that you are trying to teach by that behavior that I'm not putting my energy? I'm not saying that you don't do what you have to do to quote unquote keep the environment light. I mean, I was in a place where my CFO used to bully and do all kind of things, all kind of theory every other day, and then I had to act a certain way as long as I did. But what it told me very clearly is that this is not your place. This is not where you're going to be. This is not where your life is. His life is there, not yours. And so I waited for the opportunity when I could just walk away from it. But that thought and that process allowed me not to get, otherwise I would spend days and days after every bullying incident into being down in the under the under the carpet. Okay. And 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 I think the point is that for people, I'm back to the point, those people that quote unquote have power on you because in your system there's a weakness that they are able to take advantage of. And so it's a kind of a chicken and egg in a way. Okay, who goes first? And that's why when you start to put your energy into something else, you don't put energy into being weak in front of them because you have to give them power for your situation. It starts to give you options that you will create, and always there will be a way out, always, always, always. And there are already doors that get open to you, but your fear doesn't allow you to walk through the door, so you keep staying in the same place. Make sense?
yes, that's true. Someone, a priest said that to me. Friday said, I think part of you wants to stay stuck. That's what's happening. The fear doesn't, yeah. Well, this one place is threatening to shut off my medical treatment.
Yes, and again, it's a threat, remember. And threat means you get triggered by it and you get into fear. And what you do is you amplify it because it's fear. Your system amplifies it and makes it look like everything is ending for you, etc., etc. What I'm saying is that instead of allowing it to go there, ask if there is something else that needs to happen for me to get out of this cycle, and there will be openings. But because you get into fear, you get into panic, you do not allow any door to come through or open for you. And there are doors that are getting opened.
Okay.
But we don't pay attention to them because we are in fear. And I see, Deborah, you're writing as well. Yes. Especially if you're holding on to a certain, I mean, in my case, it was financial condition, but in your case, could be medical condition or whatever. That's the power. But remember, power is two ways. It's not only somebody takes power, it's also you give power. And so that's how there's kind of bonding that gets formed, which is of course unhealthy for your system, but it's very for those people, it's like, okay, that's how it is. This is what they want to do. They want to control, this is how they are, but this is not who you are. And so the less time you spend in being in that place and more time you spend in being what you want to create, what is that is showing me to do that I'm not seeing? That's a question to ask.
Okay, thank you.
What is that it is showing me to become or to do or my future that I am not seeing because I'm too much engaged in the energy of being bullied or dominated, etc. Because remember, fear, and that's why in every stage we always ask, what are you afraid? Because fear is the genesis of every inner system. Fears drive everything. It can be amplified into any levels. You can hear stories and stuff. All can be made up. I mean, try if you. Okay, I give you an example very recently, and I'm talking about giving power away. Okay, I did a blood test, and then my blood test came for my liver something. Okay, and then it said, well, you could have fourth kind of diseases that are there with this test. Okay, I did not Google it because I know I've done that story 2 years ago. I used to get headaches, and I Googled it, and it said, well, headaches can be brain tumor, can be this, can be that, etc., etc. And I swear, for about 10 days, I was not able to sleep well because my brain was keep on gushing. Every time I would sneeze and have a headache, I would think there's a brain tumor there. But this is how your inner system works. It took an information from outside, put it all together, and send it to your system to say, be afraid of all of them. All is this going to happen. Oh God, you are going to have brain tumor, and this is what you're going to end. It shows you those pictures. It shows you end of life. It shows etc. And now think about your will. Try to see what you. This all those starts to come. Where do you get all these thoughts from? It comes from your inner system that is driven from fear. So what I did, I actually worked on getting my headache out. So okay, let's get rid of the headache, and I swear the the thing worked. The good outcome of that, I started to do some change of my diet, etc., which was needed. So I'm just giving you this example to say our system is meant to survive. So it takes on information and it amplifies and brings all the fear to the absolute as crazy level as it wants to, because it says, oh, you have this, all these possibilities can happen to you. And if you get caught in that, and it can be coming from your supervisor, because she's, I'm going to cut off your medical aid, oh, whatever, anything, etc. Now, that is going to send your health system into survival mode. And once you get into survival mode, it's highly addictive, and it just takes you away from what that thing is opening as a door for you. Sorry for a long answer.
No. It was, thank you for everything you said. I mean, I have had cut off before. It's they can't do it. I mean, there's a lot. It's like, I know it sounds catastrophizing. It's that I've seen it happen, and so, like, they don't understand. They're not gonna. I have a part in this. It's just that their my nervous system is not built for them. And my nervous system, they don't understand. They're not interested in my personal problems and my nervous system. Just perfect
I
behavior, control. It's total 100% control.
Yeah. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Melanie. Okay. Uh, go ahead. Irv, it was a nice conversation we had on the side, but yeah. Kinka, you want to go ahead?
Yes, I wanted to say thank you, dear Manu. We love you so much. You're such a blessing and a gift. And I can't believe how you just dedicate all your time and energy, and always with such compassion and helping so many people. But I wanted to say I loved the last time you started with this a lot of the somatic, and that is just my language. Oh, my system was like, yes, I feel this, I understand this. It was so happy because still with the IFS, nothing. It's a big blank. But the prompts that you give for all these, like when you write to us, like what to think about, those are so helpful. And all the personal experiences and examples that you give with the migraine, with the how you work through the blood testing, with the how you experienced your own the trauma that you went through are so helpful. With your workplace, which you did, all of these are extremely helpful. But my main message was that that is so funny with the which energy center you will work on, because that's my strength. I feel, so I always feel. All the almost a year and a half, I always feel. And so I felt five, I felt left side, and then you said third. I tell you, my system, it was like a shock. It was like a humongous, oh, it just happened. How is this possible that he said solar plexus? How is this? And then you said no, and we're going to five. And then it finally started laughing and relaxing. It's like, okay, yes. And then when you said left, it was like, yes, okay, great. It was just
So
the
now I
funniest
know.
thing. So
Oh, now
make
I
sure
know.
that it's the funniest thing, IFS
I
big
love
blank,
this.
nothing in, nothing out, nothing. But this is like, this is it. This is the language, and this is what it. So always listen to it, because as you said, you already know this, that's how it is. And thank you for everything that you do. You are such a gift, and you're such a beautiful blessing, and a beautiful
Thank you
heart
so
and
much.
soul. Love, lots of love to you and gratitude.
Thank you, Kinga. You're always so kind and generous with your words. Always.
Hi, Manu. Thanks for everything you do. I am in a 12-step program for alcohol, but mainly cocaine addiction. I've been clean for nearly 3 years now, coming up. I've had to do quite a lot of work, and sometimes the old resentments are coming up. I'll give you a very, very brief history. My mother was an ACA, fiercely enmeshed with me as a little girl. Literally like the wind couldn't blow on me. Very sheltered. My father is an emotional bankrupt narcissist. I ran off with a guy for years, 26 of them, who was an extreme addict and involved in all sorts of powerful things. It basically, I had a forceps delivery. Now 3 years into the whole new life, I changed everything about my life. Moving location, getting rid of everyone I ever knew, which was just little people anyway, very little in numbers, because I lived a very isolated life. Some of these old resentments are coming back. I had a forceps delivery, which I don't know has anything to do with it. My parents were severely dysfunctional, even though there wasn't hands-on abuse. They were very, very strange people. To the point that someone asked me, was I absolutely adopted, and believed it, and I believed it at one point. Um, uh, what's coming up for me in this 3 years? I keep on doing the same work over and over again around my father and my ex-partner. I'm also currently putting on a bit of weight, and I was given clear-cut direction. And I'll take so much, but because I found the answer, I was supposed to give it away, not make friends. If you work for God, you have to allocate time now. And I've made a choice to step back for 28 days because my life has become slightly unmanageable. I seem to be in like this cycle of a bit of weight gain. I severely have to focus and concentrate on even getting my housework done. I've had to come off. I was never on social media anyway, WhatsApp for a little short time, a month, because I find like I have to explain myself to people. Um, I I just feel a bit stuck, Manu, and I don't know. what it is I'm not letting go of, you know. And yeah, I just in every day-to-day life, I live a very quiet life. Um, you know, I went through a lot with my ex-partner, so there's a lot of fear, basically, I think. I mean, I don't know. That's my question.
Yeah.
I'm trying to build a life basically from scratch on my own.
So one of the ways to know that you have you're stuck with something is by so when you start to say I build new life, there is something there that doesn't seem to happen, right? And that's why you say, well, I'm stuck, because you feel stuck because something is not moving. So if you go to what is not moving, you have an evidence of what could be stuck. Now, so it could be in a professional part of your life, it could be in the personal part of your life, it could be in a health condition, whatever. And so if you know where you're stuck with, you're stuck because you're still staying there, but what are you stuck in? So if you're not able to find a new partner, then definitely everything around your old partner is still holding into your system. That's why because either it is that you are afraid you'll repeat the same, or there's some kind of fear, whatever it is. So there must be something. So what is good to do is to know what is that you want for yourself, because you want to go somewhere, or to goal, whatever you want to say, and which is the area that you're feeling stuck in. And once you know that, then you can work around it, because there is always going to be a story that is going on in your inner system that wants to be released. Until it doesn't get released, you keep, when you say you are stuck, is because you're not moving forward. And you're not moving forward because you're still remaining in the past. Okay. I mean, that's a very simple answer to probably a complex story, but I would start by you asking to yourself the question, what am I stuck in? And then use any of the session that you have done to release whatever you're stuck in. Relationship with my mother, with my parents, because that could be a story there. A lot of story there. And I remember last time we talked about there is something to do with your mother. So use you have to free yourself from the energy or whatever you're holding on from the time that of your past. Okay. Corinne, go ahead, my dear.
Hi, Manu. Thank you so much for today. I actually, I always say I forget that it's 2 weeks apart, and I just kind of assume, stuff that's happening. And I was like, when Kinga was speaking, I was like, holy crap, there's an update. Because remember last time I told you I was experiencing a lot of stress from having like a supervisor that was not a bully.
Yeah.
So an incident had happened at work, and because I document everything in writing, she was able to view it. And not only did she take my side, she checked to see if I was okay from the incident, and the person responsible will not be doing it again. They were more than out of line, but their supervisor was also like, I am so sorry, this will never happen again. And it was just such a, like, I wasn't sure what was gonna happen. This was Tuesday when she's like, I didn't, need to do much because you had handled everything already, but I just want to make sure you're okay. So that was a little bit like surprising and good. And she also asked me why I didn't complain, and I said it doesn't make sense to me to complain about other people's complaints. I manage, I oversee over 200 departments, offices, and areas. Well, that's not the job. You know what I mean? I don't document. I don't prepare my reports in light of the complaints. It's like, can I not handle it? Is it not addressed? So I showed her other complaints that had come in the same week and how they were handled. And she's like, you're doing a really good job with this. You know, because in the couple of months she's been there, I've never really come to her with really anything along those lines. This was just an elevated situation. So that was one really awesome plus from last time that I almost forgot to tell you. But there is something else that's been going on. So you've seen me. I know my camera's off now, but I'm mixed. And a lot of people think that I'm Latino, even though I'm not. And for some reason, this week, I've had 3 situations where Latinos have been aggressive towards me. And like literally for no reason. A person pushed me from behind on the train. And when I looked over my shoulder, she started yelling at me because she didn't like the way I looked over my shoulder. Like, what are you talking about? And I was like, you pushed a person wearing a knee brace and you want to dictate their response. And another stranger is like, I can't believe she's talking to you this way. But that's just like one example. And there were 2 others where I'm like, are you actually yelling at me? Like what planet are you from? And I don't know what I'm supposed to be learning from that. So Deborah and I in the chat was like, well, what it occurred to me was like, look, I'm not being bullied in this area. Is it showing up in other areas? And it's like, I don't really want to embrace that because I just want to have like freedom from it completely. But it was just so strange that it happened to be 3 different people, 3 different situations, all from the same ethnic background, and a background that's constantly trying to claim me that I'm not part of. This comes up also professionally in work environments. You know, can you join this group? Can you be part of that? I'm like, dude, no. I'm like Black, Polish, Chinese. Like, no, I'm not part of that sector. I hope whoever comes my way, I'm learning Spanish, but I'm not Spanish. So I don't know what it was, but you said something to, I think her name's Mel, the one that says Brooklyn Bronx on there, about people recognize a vulnerability or a weakness that's something they can tap into. And I told my acupuncturist, like, hit the point to make me like stronger so like it bounces off. And she's like, I want you to be like bamboo and bend. I'm like, no, you don't understand. I don't even want it to happen. I don't have anything to bend for. I'm trying to make progress in my life and other doors are starting to open up and this crap is coming and I don't want to stay connected to it. But I can't help but think if they wouldn't be doing this as someone that looked a different way. You know, like there's, you know what I mean? Like you think like we're cool in a, like the other person. I'm like, why are you yelling? I'm not your cousin. Like we're not family. What is going on here?
Yeah, so I give you an example. This is this afternoon with my wife and son. We went to a restaurant, and the guy, he forgot to bring something or something, and my wife made a comment, and then I looked at her. I said, you know, I mean, he's carrying 25 things, so he may have missed something. That's okay. And then I saw my son do the same. And then I looked at the guy and I say, oh, wow, yeah, look at him. He was looking so, his shoulders down, okay, and very, very vulnerable, okay. So I looked at him and I just told him one sentence. I said, in his language, I said, you know, there are some days where people are having a bad day and they take it out on you. And some days it's a good day. So I just made that comment to him. And, you know, immediately I saw his shoulders going straight up, and I'm not joking. And something, he broke a smile and he walked away, and then he came back. He was serving. He came back. There was a different energy. And my wife responded to him differently. Okay. And so when you were speaking, this is what came to my mind. And I think it's, okay, what I'm saying is that it's not that you are inviting somebody to shout at you, or the person that is, whatever was the reason it was shouting, had a story there. But when somebody shouts at you, your system goes into defense mechanism saying, what did I do that is causing the person to shout on me. So you take it on yourself as if it's your fault and you did something wrong, and you never go to a place where you can say, well, what if I, for a moment, freeze this moment and step back out of that shouting thing and use that as a way to see something else, and then I can step back into that. And I know it's not, I understand it's not easy. It's easier said than done. But that's what I felt this morning, that he was out of his element. My wife and my son could say things to him. He went back to his element, and they behaved differently with him.
Right. I can follow that. And I hear you about the bad day. I'm not rejecting anything you're saying.
No, it's
The other
not your bad day. It's not your bad
it's
day.
a bad day. No. And but this is why I'm gonna say why I completely agree what you're saying. The other person that was yelling, I had gone in for my physical therapy appointment, and the days have been mixed up. I had called because it was a 3:30 appointment on Monday, and I had called to see if she had any last minute cancellations because I could have come in at 1, earlier. And they will call me the same way. So I called and I was like, hi, I have a 3:30 appointment today. Can I come in earlier? Did you get any last minute cancellations? And she was like, no cancellations. I said, okay, so I'll see you at 3:30. I show up at 3:30 and she's like, why are you here? You don't have an appointment. I said, what are you talking about? We just spoke on the phone 2.5 hours ago. And she's like, no, your appointment's for tomorrow. And I said, hold on a second. I've had this appointment for over a month. Like, what's going on? What's going on? And I told her, I said, you know what? Let's just wait for the physical therapist. My therapist also happens to be the manager of the whole clinic. So I was like, I'll just wait. She's like, okay, 5 minutes. And she continues to like ask me questions and try to gauge. I'm like, look, I'm waiting for the supervisor, right? And she just blows up. And that's why it's like, why are you yelling? But you're absolutely right, because I went to Yelp after, and you know how bad you have to be to have almost a dozen negative responses on the receptionist. So, because when she was yelling, I'm like, why is she scared? Was my first thought. And after when I went to Yelp, I saw the negative reviews about the nasty receptionist. I'm like, she's probably afraid of getting into trouble again. Now, that does not mean she had any business yelling at me. And it was just unnecessarily stressful. I was like, I wasn't even in a bad mood. I was like, I'll just go to Trader Joe's and get some ice cream and sourdough bread. I don't need this stress. I'm only 20 minutes away. I don't even care about the wasted subway fare. But you can't just start screaming at a person that's coming in for treatment. That's not how the world works, And of course, my therapist and director is like apologizing for it. And I'm like, it's easy to apologize for what you don't do. There's something else going on here. And after I left, and I figured out what it was. But again, I still kind of do feel that way. Like, if this is happening with 3 random people in a week, when things are starting to get better, am I not comfortable with things getting better? And that, like, am I waiting for something bad to happen? And that's what's leaving this window for someone to step in. And it just so happens to be 30 women from the same ethnicity within days apart. I'm just like, I'm taking this to session. Like, there's something I need to get out of this so I don't stay stuck here and I can keep elevating. Because fun fact, my new supervisor is a Latina, and she's totally supportive. And like, I'm still leaving, but I wish she'd been my supervisor before, so I could have had more air, space, and peace and been comfortable with that. Do you know what I mean? So that's what I'm saying. Like, there's just, it's too many coins flipping and not knowing where it's going to go. But I do agree that you can breathe life into a person by just acknowledging their circumstances,
Correct. But again, so what I'm saying to you is, when this happens this much, that means there is something. These people, they don't. I mean, either you can get into the energy of the world is screwed up, and then this is what is happening, and everybody's screaming, etc. Either you get into that energy, and that's a choice, of course, which means that you become like a victim, and the others are aggressors. So you are bullied, and people are bullying you. That's one energy.
Yeah.
The other one is.
I don't want that.
But that's it. Unfortunately, it's not something you do consciously. It is done for you, and there is already mechanism sitting there to do that, because you're probably used to it from the different places in your workplace. Or you say, well, this is bringing me something there that I have to work on for me. And my God, bring me some more experiences so I can know I'm out of it. And it takes you to a very different place inside of you.
I was with you to the last moment. I was like, I'm ready for the lesson. That's what I was telling you.
There you go. And so, but then you not say it, you internalize it, which means that a stressful point and the world, I mean, I live in India nowadays. I can tell you, we go through the world. You go into traffic. You go from point A to point B, 20 kilometers. You have 55 reasons to get out and do something to someone because they are doing wrong somewhere. 55 reasons. Okay. And I have my younger son, which was driving today, and I saw him going 20 times, literally willing to bash. And then I looked up and I said, work to do, because all those characters are not, they're not coming into you to say, but they are coming into you to say, to tell you that you can go and bash them, but they're coming to tell you that there's something you can work on. But this is not for me to tell my son. That's the other thing I learned. It's for him to learn and discover himself for him. Okay. If he was sitting here in this call today, I would have told him. But since he's not, I cannot tell him. But I recognize that in myself so often. I mean, it's unbelievable. When you do this work and you become in this mode, the worst of the worst of the worst, you get into a place where people doing something really wrong, and the maximum you can get through is saying, it's okay, I went through it, or even sometime being compassionate to them and asking them a question, are you okay? Is something going on, etc. So that switch is something where you start to become so much, it's like those stories want to teach you something, and they come to you, Corinne, because there is something in your higher self that wants you to learn something more. Sorry if I'm saying it with a smile, but I'm just.
No, it's amusing. I'm smiling over here too.
And you can say, okay, I get it. I get it. Somebody wants you to be a saint and to be very saintly, and so become one.
Manu, I'm not Jesus.
Look, I don't know. This is Corinne sitting here talking about. I don't know what about your soul, what it decided to become. You don't know. I don't know. You may know more. So maybe you are.
But I will say that there's a lot happening in New York overall with the indictment that's gone on this week. Tensions are very high. There's been a lot more violence in the subway. People have been a lot more aggressive with each other. We're getting reports nonstop. So we're going through a lot here in New York with the protesters, people coming in from out of state. The police are everywhere. So you just don't know. Tensions are heightened. That receptionist had styes on both her eyes. She wasn't having a good day. I can see all that from an objective standpoint, but I also want to be recognized as not being a garbage receptacle. Sometimes when you're like, people can tell you'll listen, you care, you're supportive. I'm always kind to receptionists. When I was a little girl, the receptionist in my elementary school used to literally carry me in her arms to the bathroom to throw up because I was the sick kid that wasn't supposed to make it, So it's extra harmful coming from anyone in an administrative role like that, because my foundational memories are so positive and so nurturing. And when I worked in HR in another life, I never hired anyone that was rude to the front desk, because if you can't even have the basic decency to be in a waiting area civilly, you're not getting a job here. And I hold that line. So it was extra coming from there. But again, there's a lot of stuff shifting right now. And I know it wasn't me, but I still had to have the experience, and I would rather bypass it. So I was like, what's the lesson? How do I figure it out? How do I recognize it so I don't have to keep being shown again and again and again? you know.
It'll keep showing. It'll keep showing you. Sometimes it shows up to test you. Like I saw this morning driving, it just comes to test you and to ask you, where are you? Are you out or not?
Well, I hope I pass so that we could like end this week and move to another one. You know, the only other thing which is independent from what I've already mentioned is sometimes I struggle with my follow-up on like, you know, like watching the videos again, doing the extra journaling. I'm kind of curious what I can do to release the block around being consistent with my self-care in that way. I consider this a form of my self-care. So just like, so I can kind of just integrate it, you know, like writing my affirmations.
So you have to, you mean when you don't journal, you don't do your daily work, you become guilty of being non-compliant?
Yeah, I just like whatever I need to release around that so I can just, you know, feel comfortable taking the time to give myself what I need to do better. There's still a fear that if I do better, something bad will happen.
Ask the question to yourself, to your inner self, saying, do I still have to carry this burden of being perfect on this one? Or it is something that I need to also release? Because one of the things I learned with the IFS and on all this thing is that the best state that you can be is that you do not have to close your eyes to do meditation. You do not have to close your eyes to do, oh, I'm working with my part. You do it with eyes open, which means that the difference between you being in a state when you're meditative or non-meditative, that veil disappears, which means that you are always in a state of being. And so I can promise you I do that all the time. It's very rare that I'm sitting and telling, oh, I'm working with your part, etc. I was driving and I was just talking to a part of me that stood up and wanted to say something to me, and say, okay, I listen to you. And then we had a small conversation, but I was driving. Okay. And so what I'm trying to say is that what I learned in this whole thing is that you have to, and it may be true for me, for you, it may be that you need 30 minutes, 20 minutes of very dedicated time to be with yourself. And that's okay as well. Okay. And so what I'm saying is that I've seen people that become obsessed with 4 hours of daily meditation, and if I don't do it, then you kick yourself. I mean, I've seen people that are so obsessed with particular of diet. If I don't eat that, then I'm kick myself, and then they get serious sickness, and they say, well, I was vegan all my life. I was strict. When I go to a restaurant, I ask, which oil do you put into, etc. I said, do you know how much stress your system is having when you keep asking those questions to everybody? Your system is stressed. So while you may not be eating non-vegan food, but you are putting so much cortisol just by being stressed about yourself. Okay, so I think there is somewhere you have to find that balance in you.
Thank you very much. I didn't connect it to possible like the perfectionism thing because I thought
there you go. There you go.
Yeah, no, I thought I kind of made peace with that because I don't have a problem making mistakes or doing something wrong. That's actually one of the endearing parts of my personality. I'm like, you made a mistake because you're working. I think it's what makes me a healthier supervisor. Just tell me. Don't let me get surprised. That's my only rule. I don't want to be ambushed. If you find it, tell me. We'll figure it out together. But
even if they bring you surprise, can you still be passionate and compassionate toward them and toward yourself? That's where
there's a laugh and a reminder, like it's me. I'm that person that you can always come to. And they're like, oh yeah, you know, like it's one of the highlights in my reviews. They're just like, we don't understand why her team works so well together. And I'm like, because they're human and I let them be. But I don't always give myself that same grace, and I'm not doing that here. So thank you for that.
There you go.
And maybe that'll kind of free everything else up a little bit, because maybe in some corner of my mind, I feel like what happened this week is as a result of not putting enough time into myself. So it opened up something there, as opposed to, you know, like shit happens and one of those 55 things, which Manu was an oddly specific number. I just want you to know
Yeah.
you are counting. But I think that might be a bit, I don't see myself as a perfectionist anymore. There's just too much evidence otherwise. But yeah, that helps. That helps a lot. And I'm gonna kind of be with it. And I do understand enjoying the practice without doing it from A to Z. I just feel like I need to get a couple more letters in there. You know, just
Yeah. So allow, and I'm also replying to you, Deborah, in your question. Okay. If people make mistake that may cause you pain, it means you own their pain and their mistake to you physically. And so find it, release it, you're going to get free. But the reason people make mistakes and you feel the pain is because they are there to help you understand that it's not your pain. Their mistake is not your pain. And as long as you keep owning it, they are going to keep making the mistake. It's the same thing as I was saying to Corinne, why people come shout to her 3, 4, 5, and 10 others is because she's not listening to some, she's not, again, I'm not being disrespectful. There's a part of her that is not yet saying, I have something to learn in that. It is focusing on the issue itself. So when people make mistake, you focus on the mistake of the people that causes pain. It means your pain is saying to you, can you get free from other people's mistakes? Because probably when there was a mistake in your life, somebody had to pay a price.
Stuff to think about. I don't always have the answer in the moment. Stuff to think about and to ponder. But I really like connecting it to the perfectionism and kind of like blaming myself for not doing enough made me open for something like this. When it's not my bag. It's not in Polish, they say not my monkey, not my circus. You know, so
no, it is. No, the thing is, when you say that is not my circus, not etc., then the problem is that it keeps coming up and then saying it seems to be my circus, and because I didn't listen the first time, the second time, and so it is your circus. But then what do you do with that circus? Not to focus on the event, is to focus on what is this trying to tell me that I'm not listening to. That's the question.
I just think I need to chill out. That's all.
What are you? Yeah,
like
just sit with it. It'll tell you. I swear your system will tell you. Just sit with it. Yeah, sit with that. Think, what are you guys all trying to tell me that I must do for myself? Not with you, but for myself.
Thank you so
But
much.
none of them. None of them. Yeah. Welcome. Okay, Lorca.
So I just wanted to share a little bit because I usually don't have courage to do so.
I love your part. I love your part that is making you speak out, allowing you to speak out.
Thank you.
Love it.
So I have been, wow, in so many, when you did this meditation, I have been in so many situations in my life where I have been, you know, in situations either family or relationships or school or job or therapy where I felt like I had no choice. I've been just pushed into the situation and I just went with it because of some things that I wasn't really able to do in the situation. And well, I come from, you know, it's like Balkan country in Europe. So it's patriarchy and it's Roman Catholic Church. And I wanted to tell you, thank you for sharing your story about, if I correctly understood, about sexual abuse that you experienced. I feel very sad that men are, in this terrible position, and I feel very hopeful when I see that they are able to share and heal that part of themselves, because I often feel like it's only women who are being perpetrated, and then I associate it with like there is this gender and biological thing that makes us vulnerable, and this just makes me feel hopeless. So I was really happy, not that you experienced it, but that I heard your story, because I have been in really uncomfortable situation. I was 5 years old and I was sexually disturbed by my brother, and like also physically, it was not physical violence, but it was just physical. Like my brother would put me on a bicycle and just throw me down the hill. And I was just small and I just couldn't understand. Everything was always in my life too fast. And I've just always tried to, I was really happy and everything, but I just always felt like when we were going through this meditation today, I felt when I was going into the child, I felt so much confusion, and it did not understand what fear meant, because there was nice moments and there was fear, but it just felt confused, because like you have your family and your family is supposed to be love you. And like in my life, when I had friends, when I had partners, they had loving family. Not like that. No one is perfect, but I felt so angry. I felt so envious. I didn't want to be part of it. I felt like I couldn't belong, uh, because I felt sting in my heart. I never had that. And I'm thinking like, oh, maybe I just imagined that. Oh, maybe I'm just making it up. Look at that victim. There was been abused sexually for years, and I have not been like that. It just destroyed me. And I felt for years that men have no feelings. I really felt like I had no, in my family, my father and my brother, I just never seen any man express emotions, and I really missed that. My mother also became like when they divorced. My mother and father, they divorced when I was 7. My father was fucking, sorry, like a piece of, he was like either my way or highway. And it's just painful. When they divorced, he didn't even look at me. He didn't pay alimony. He sued me that I studied too long. And the money that he wanted back was so little. It was just to make me fucking suffer. And he looked right through me. After all these years, I wanted to make peace with him, and he didn't want to do it. It was just a shit show. And my mother, who I really hate, she loves me, but we have our diagnosis. I've been recently diagnosed last year as autistic, and my mother is probably, and all of my family. So, that creates a lot of isolation and emotional, at least in our case, emotional feeling of being disconnected. So, and another part of autism is that you cannot really connect so much to other people, and you connect with something, the passion, some interest that you had. And as a kid, I really loved art. I did it with my mother, and I was just really happy in doing it. But when I came, you said like 14, something like
11.
that. Yes, but
Oh,
when
no,
I was
15. 11 and then 15. 15.
yeah, like around that year, I was 14 or something. I had exhibitions, I like in libraries for my art, and I went to go study in high school art. And my mom was not strict, It's not like I can say she's a narcissist, she was evil, she was that, she was not. But she just said no, no, no. She was always anxious about survival. It was like after communism ended and all that, old generations after war, so traumatized. They were like, my grandma was like, oh, you just have to be happy that you have a job. You're not supposed to enjoy your job. Come on, just as long as you make it. So, my mom told me, it's not good to just to do art, starving artist syndrome, and I felt like I'm less because I just couldn't make myself love anything, and my world became so empty. I had nothing that I resonated and I could connect and I loved. And I just loved art since I was a kid. I just loved it. I don't know why I loved it. It was so it just didn't make any sense. It's not like we're in the office, you are making money or whatever. It was very maybe selfish thing. You just do something for yourself, but it just feels good. And my mom said, no, it's not good. You're not going to be able to survive. Look at all these people. You need to have connections. And I didn't think like that. I was just following my heart, and I saw some sort of thought that it would work it out. But I became codependent on my mother, and I just did whatever she told me. So I neglected that part of me. I suppressed it. I hated it. And then I went to study. I have master's degree in business, and I spent years forcing myself, crying, doing stuff that I hate, and being an internship. And I just felt like part of my life has been for some other people. And all these other people that like bullied me, that abused me, that didn't give me choice, that didn't give me care or emotion. I became angry. I became like I was in abusive relationships. I was always begging men to love me, to be there. I wanted the person to be there 100% for me, and no one can do that. So it's just when you have this initial wounds, it just creates like complete chaos. And then you go to therapists and no one can take it. It's just so much, and they look at you like a number. And then you have this trauma, and then by the time you find normal therapist, you're almost like dying. So I just don't know. I got sick of everything, of people telling me, oh, compliments, people telling me this. Just everything felt like attack to me, feels still. So I just stopped, talking and stopped expressing myself. And it's been, up and down. And I've been in previous relationship here. I moved to another country 4 years ago. I am just in contact with my mother. She's supposed to come here in 1 week. And I just constantly have this anxious, like clingy and avoidant attachment with her. And that's just something that goes into all of my relationships. It's just so much. And sometimes I think to myself, it's just not fair that I cannot feel like a normal human being. And I see other people being happy while I just feel angry in the grocery store when someone is walking too close to me, So, and people like tell you, do this, that will make you happy. And it's like, you don't want yourself to be happy. You hate yourself, And I've been doing a side of that. It's like you have that's why I like this IFS, because you have these parts of yourself disintegrated. And you don't feel like you can ever integrate, right? And it feels like hopeless. I think it was Melanie who was speaking. And I remember I did not make enough progress, but I remember when I was in her shoes. I have hope now. I went through EDMR, and my therapist said, no, you can't go to EDMR. We are going to do safe and sound protocol because you have dissociation. You need to feel safe. And then she said, we're going to do deep brain reorienting, which I have no idea what that is. And I said, can you tell me how long the healing is going to take? She didn't want to tell me, but I persisted. And she said, listen, if you continue good like now, it's going to take you 2 to 5 years. And that day I just wanted to die, because the thing that actually pushed me to even get diagnosed with complex PTSD and to seek help, to even acknowledge that I have a problem, I wasn't really aware that I have it, was that I met a guy. So since I moved here to Iceland, I had I had one abusive relationship where I was sort of forced to abort my first child. You know, I was 9 weeks, and I just don't know how to be a woman, how to have a kids. I can, but I feel panic attack. I feel like I'm claustrophobic. I break out. I cannot do it. Anyways, I was with an addict, and I've decided that I'm never going to date addict. I just really, really grew from that. I was in 12-step program, Al-Anon and all that stuff, and I'm saying that can be really helpful, but it didn't work for me. I was blaming myself. I found my own ways. I found Kundalini yoga. I even ended up as a Kundalini yoga teacher, and Kundalini yoga has been saving my life. Mindfulness meditation. And I've seen in IFS here something that I have not seen anywhere else. And this is this visual thing, creative part where you can go back in time and see something inside of you visually, even though it feels like a childish book, but I kind of like it. But then, you know, that part of mother who is like squishing it, that's not good. You know, you have to, you need to work with it. So yes, anyways, I've been through a lot. I know that there's a lot of people who have been through a lot too, but I don't want to give up, even though I feel like sometimes I just want to die. And anyways, yes, so a year and 3 months ago, I met a guy who I met after exiting this abusive relationship where I had to abort. And that was like 4 months after I exited that relationship. And I exited only because he left me, you know. I couldn't do it. I just couldn't do it. I couldn't trust my emotions. And when he left me, God, my life started to make sense. Oh, God, I was so happy that I'm just out of that crappy person's life. And then 4 months after that, I meet a guy, and he was like really nice, but I was so tuned into abusive men, like emotionally unavailable, because if he's emotionally unavailable, I feel in control. I chase him, you know. I know that it's never going to end, but there is no fear of intimacy. There is no fear of intimacy. So it's kind of like pro and con. Are you going to be afraid of intimacy and have a panic attack or feel threatened, or you're going to chase after him and feel abandonment? So, and like, this was the first relationship where I felt like someone actually wanted me. And this guy went with full heart in, and I was like scared as, you know, I was really scared. And since I met him, I just I wasn't attracted to him, but talking to him made me attracted to him. Like, he was really interesting. And then I just started to feel threatened all the time. I just, not all the time. We had really nice moments. We got engaged. We want to have a family. But every time I took after pill, I don't know. I just couldn't make myself to be a woman. I'm afraid to be vulnerable. I was reading about, you know, Jung. I know a lot about Jung and hero's journey, and I was reading about female side, heroine's journey, and the part of it is to heal the split between you and your mother. So healing that goddess female part, yeah, and then your masculine part, and then integration. And it just feels like an impossible task for me. I don't know how to be a woman. Like, when I see women on TV, when I hear experiences, everyone is getting abused. They have, you know, pregnancy, and then men beat them or they leave them. You know, I'm just being really heavy here now. Not everyone, but it's just so much toxicity. And like, you know, that inner protector part of me became like Arnold Schwarzenegger, like with the hammer. So you get close to me, you get hammered. Goodbye. So I just became like a masculine, and I don't really know how to be a woman in my own way that will not be corrupted by society and my experience and my mother view on womanhood and all this stuff. But that's just something that I want to work with. I signed up for, it's called CPT, it's called Cognitive Processing Therapy. Cognitive cognitive processing therapy. System here in Iceland, it's so bad. There is not a lot of doctors, and I'm on waiting list for it for a year, and I just couldn't do it. So I just seeked therapy everywhere that I could. I will do it on my own. I'm not going to depend on the system and be a victim of the system again. Because what happened is I met a guy who wants to be intimate with me. I can't have sex with him. I have sex with him, and later I feel like he's been using me. He's been attacking me. He's sadistic. Since I met him, I'm like, dude, you're probably watching some weird porn. You're probably having some bad thoughts. You have another face that I haven't seen. And then, like, after a few years, you're gonna leave me. You're gonna abandon me. You're not gonna love me because I'm not doing this in bed. I'm not gonna be enough. Everything can change. And it's just so much. And I've been bombing him, and he has ADHD and his own trauma. His mother is just complete other story. So, at the end of relationship, it's just, we started to self-harm. And he said, like, enough. He ended it, like, not ended it. He made a pause in a really, like, strict way. He just blocked me and everything, even though he did write a lot of messages and stuff, nice ones. It's just, I couldn't believe that he's not going to abandon me or have evil intentions just because he is a man. He is a man. Therefore, he is a threat. So, at the end of the story, I was devastated. I was really devastated. And now I'm in a period where I have been in a pause for 60 days, and I've been in no contact for three weeks or more. I'm really proud of that, because I want to give him the space that he wanted that I couldn't give him because of my abandonment stuff. I want to give him chance to find healing, and I want to heal myself without, being anxiously attached. And then when, we get together, then it's too much, and then I create a problem, and then I go back. It's just destroying me. So he had to make it, and it was really difficult. And now sometimes I just fall apart. I feel depression. I miss him. I have this PTSD talking in my head, these trust issues, just obsessive thinking, like, is he, having these thoughts? What is gonna happen? He's gonna leave you. And then I have to read messages. I have to use, like, cognitive behavioral therapy, dialectical behavior therapy tools to calm down. Just this meditation helped me. It's not rational. It just made me go, like, your vagus system, your nerves just, but it's so difficult to make a start. So it's just coming to this meditation made me, feel a little bit brave. And even though I'm anxious if I'm going to do it again, with dissociation and having bad memory, it's just shit show. But I think the biggest, and also I have this cynical part of me saying, you're not allowed to feel love, like romantic. Nothing works out. Like your mother, look how it works. And then sometimes you ask people, and they're like, oh, it's codependence. Oh, it's this. It's really not. It's really not. I don't really want to talk about it with people because I feel ashamed. I feel ashamed to love. I feel ashamed to even want to have a family. But I think just this man really made me realize that I can be loved and I can have family, and that it's okay that I don't have my own, that I can still make. And he made me realize, not him, he just made me feel a bit alive. And when I expressed, I was talking a lot. I told him that I want to do art in my own way, blah, 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 illustrations for children's books and stuff. He was there. He said that that's amazing. And he really meant it, and that just made me feel like there is a way to live. And he said, if I know anyone who deserves to have children, it's you. And he said, like, you can be a great mother, even though doctors told me you are so, like, mentally ill, you can't even have kids. And then I said, no, I'm happy that I did abortion because I wouldn't be a good mother. So it's just a lot, but I try to keep hope. I try to keep hope that me and him can heal separately, even though we've been served a lot on our plates. And I'm trying to be proud of things that I did. And I'm so thankful for being here. And even though I feel, dissociation, feeling like I don't even exist, still, one part of me acknowledges that I am here, that you are here, everyone is here, and that even though you are man and there is problem man in this group, that you also people have experienced pain, and I just hope everything will sit on its place, and that one day life will have less of pain and it might have a meaning, to it. So yes, it's been a lot on my plate, and with autism I just haven't been able to react. My brain needs time to react. I'm very introverted, and in childhood and everywhere I was just really open-hearted, and then I became the opposite. Just I became dark humored, cynical person, and everyone loves it, everyone loves it, but that's not who I am. I'm not. I'm like, I want to be honest. I want to be who I am. I want to do stuff that seems like not important, like art, or I just want to do a lot of things that are seen like maybe eccentric or maybe childish or dreamish, but they just make me feel alive. And seeing people who do it too helps to integrate, I guess, maybe slowly. But I still, yeah, I don't know, maybe you can tell me something, it would mean a lot. And just one thing, I really hate my mother. Maybe I will hate her less when I heal. Even though she did not do anything on purpose, she took so much from me, and I just hate her so much. That's for my mother. Oh God, yes.
I love this part of you that is speaking what up for itself. Wow. Let your system know that everybody here is proud of you, that you spoke, you said everything that you had to say and want to say. Now, coming back to what you're doing, there are two elements that come to me. The last part you just said is what all your hatred for your mother, and there is everything that it stands for, is what you are afraid to bring into your life. So when you say, well, that's the mother, and that's what she does to her children, I will not allow to do that to myself. So then you basically do not want to, or you go into panic attack or etc. into your when you were pregnant, is because that meant there's a mother and I'm becoming the mother, and so I will create a new Lovorka in my life, and I cannot have
Yes.
another one. Okay, so that's where your story is now. If you look at it in a reverse way, and you say, well, you know what? You came into the session of forgiveness, and it's all about self-forgiveness. You do it for yourself because you don't do it for your mother. You do it for you, which is very different. You do it for you because then by forgiving her and letting her be free from your system, you will actually be able to create your own family and to have your own children, and then you will vow that whatever happened to me, I will never let it happen to my children. So you break the lineage, because I imagine your mother is not the only one. She probably has a legacy in her family. Okay, so it goes back. So you become the one that breaks the legacy of the generations that create the same environment, which means, And that's why you came in to break that legacy. That's why you protest. That's why you don't get into being a mother. She allowed herself to become a mother, and then to create you, which is equal to how her mother created her, because this is what she's been doing. So you have generations of that. So knowing that it came from generations, you are the one that is breaking the rule, which means when you create your family, you will make sure that nothing that happened to you happens to your daughter ever. But this is a vow. Now, to do that, your system has to say, well, what about you will be reminded by what your mother did to you. So to do that, you heal your little one all through from the time that you were in your mother's womb to the time that you just remember. You heal all that part of whatever you're carrying, which would be a lot of traumas around her.
Yes.
Okay, so that's about you having family and etc. And you can use whatever means. Releasing trauma is the most important thing. Whatever makes sense for your system, you feel safe to doing it, you do that. So that's one. The second thing about your father, and I think I was making that comment to somebody else as well before. When you miss an aspect of your father, and it's always true with daughters, with the father, they are attached to the father, but then they get rejected by the father or being abused or whatever happened. Like in your case, he basically just abandoned you. But
Yes.
but the little you had an affiliation to him. Okay, felt towards him. That little one is what still sits in that place where your father abandoned you. And so she got abandoned by somebody that she had affection to.
That's
Okay,
true.
the little one. Now that means what she will do is you'll keep creating men equal to a father so that she can continue with that affection that she did not have. Of course, this is done subconscious. This is not, you don't go out and say, let me find a man that is equal to my father.
I know. I
It's,
know that.
it's deeply subconscious. So actually you choose men that, like you were saying, who are not going to be, who are unavailable to you because they are equal to your father. And then you get, you're the younger you get abandoned again,
Yep.
and then goes into a place of uh, another trauma event. And what they call dissociation or PTSD is nothing but repetition of traumas. Okay, so I didn't feel, I mean, of course, and when you say autism, these are all protection mechanisms that get named by the medical world to call PTSD or autism or whatever. I mean, these are all, but if you go deep inside, these are protective states because the inner system said, you can't deal with it if you behave or be a certain way, then at least I can keep you safe. And that the external world then labels you with whatever labels they want to label. I mean, bipolar, somebody called bipolar, somebody called dissociated, etc. Okay,
Yes,
and
yes, it's
I'm not saying that
dissociative with identity disorder and all this medical labels. They just label us, and then we feel like, oh, we are incurable.
there
When
you
it's
go. So,
no.
but again, so I just want to stay that and say, well, that's how. But if you fall in that trap, then you get into that loop, and then you feel miserable about it, and so now you're in that trap. Okay, it's a trap. So, but when you become aware of it and say, I'm not going to go there, and I'm going to go there, and if I have to learn something about it and say bless you for that system, but I'm not associated with it, then you are okay. If you are angry with it, that means there is a still energy or there's a investment into that story. And that's what you have to learn to free yourself. Because the thing that heals you is you. The only thing that can heal you is you. The only one who can free you is going to be you. It's not going to be a therapist. It's not going to be a doctor. It's not going to be anybody. All external are just resources or tools or guides or angels, whatever word we use, to describe people coming in and showing something. But then it gets into you. That's the hard work is. But like I was telling to Melanie before, once your system sees that light, it starts to build trust in you and says, okay, you can do more. I'm not here sitting here in this mode saying this just like that. It's been a lot of years of going through all kind of pain, etc. But the only reason I do what I do here is because I feel that you don't have to spend so much time and energy into healing your life. I think there's a shorter way to do that. And 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 the only way I found best is that when you start to learn to trust you and to build what in IFS is called self energy, then that self energy uses all the traumatized part of the view as your guides, because those little ones that went through it are very, very sharp and very smart, because they learn skills. They became so good in such like the part of you that wants to do art. It's very good in it, but you have to give it energy. You have to give it uh, its voice and say, go, do it. I'm with you. I will be part with
Yes.
you. Okay. And so it starts to feel, oh, she is not anymore driven by the rules of the little one, etc., that were done at the time. She's now becoming adult or herself and have this self energy. Then the system starts to all these parts that are when in IFS, when you do and you ask it, do you like doing what you're doing? 9 out of 10 say no. If you had a chance to do something else, they all want to do something else. Okay. And so none of them are happy playing that victim or angry at mother. None of them. They're not, because it's not loving. It's not compassion. It's not being kind to yourself. But when you see somebody being kind to somebody else, you cry. Why?
Yes.
Because you want to be that, and you say I'm not. But you have that thing in you. Each of us have it. It's just that we are so much in the pain part that we do not see the other side. But when you start to see a bit of it, then you want to go all in and you want to release all this stuff. And they also want to get free from this. And so it's a perfect time in which they run like very fast. I mean, healing the traumatized part becomes so faster because the little one wants to be free and saying, no, I want to go to
Yes.
this elder one because I love how she is or he is, etc. And they just want to go.
Yeah. Yes, that's why I felt really, really like I want to die when she told me, like, there is this another prison, another script. I've been put in university, in my family. I had no choice. You have to be here. You can't be homeless. You have to be there. Okay, so now you have to stay in therapy at least 2 years if you put your maximum effort, like in school. Do your best, and then you will be rewarded. And I'm like, wait, so I need to spend 2 years spending a lot of money because therapy is prioritized here. going to multiple therapies, going through such a difficult emotional times. And then my relationship has to be 2 years on hold, and I'm gonna be just in therapy for 2 years. I'm 33 now, so what will happen? You know, I just I felt like she said 2 years, and then my other therapist said that that's, you know, that's utter, you know, not true thing. So I'm like asking people, and I get confused. How long is this gonna take? But you said that it doesn't have to take so long, because I'm very
Yeah.
eager, even though I have so much problems. I'm eager, like that inner child cannot take this anymore. I have my goals, and
Yeah.
it's just water is below my neck. You know, I can't do it. I can't do it for 2 years. Do you think it's possible? Do I need to do it for 2 years to be normal?
I don't, okay, I don't have an answer to that, but the fact that you are now using that as a way to say it's too long, it's too long, it's too long, and I'm going to stress about it,
Mm-hmm.
is itself an issue. You understand?
What is that?
Yes, you just saying, okay, if it's 2 years, who cares? I'm going to go into this. Otherwise, you're actually saying, oh, I'm not entering into this tunnel because this is 2 years long. So I stay here and I move nowhere. And now you're into that loop. You understand?
No,
So
no, no. I mean, I am.
you don't even care about the time it is going to take. You say 2 years, it's okay. I have life.
Mm,
I have 30
I'm
years
just
in front of me. You know,
I am
Eileen,
just saying that I am not really able to put my life and my relationship mostly on hold for 2 years, being in such kind of therapy there, that someone else is, you know, guiding me, and I'm feeling like I don't have enough power over it. And 2 years is too much for me. I don't want to spend 2 years away from the person I love, to be perfectly healed. I mean, I don't need to, but I feel like I need to be perfect before I can even think of having my family, because I've been ashamed to even think that I want that I can be a mother. Just everyone else is a mother. I am just a student. I am just a rational, intellectual person. Why would I even want to be a mom or belong or to have a family? God, no, there's no point. There's no point. So when she said 2 years, I just felt inner crash. And
yeah,
that
and
doesn't
so
even.
that's so. Can I say something? That's
Yeah.
the first thing to work with,
Mm-hmm.
because why would you crash? I mean, you know, if you go to speak to Eileen McCusick, who created Tuning Fork System, she's been
Mm-hmm.
working for 20 years now into this work, and she says even now I go into a, a, a tuning fork session and something gets cleared from my system. So, so I am 13 years, and I know I will keep on every day. This morning I was doing work on myself, and so it doesn't matter. But I think the time, if you're getting freaked out because somebody said 2 years, that is what you have to find and work with. Saying, why are you getting freaked out, and what are you afraid would happen? What is holding on there? And that is what will help you to move away from it, because who I, nobody will, because tomorrow somebody says it's going to be 6 months, and then another one says it's going to be 1.5 years, and you don't care about how long it's taking. You are much more into what I want for me, and if it takes me whatever time, I will do it. Now there's another thing that I attach it to, oh, I'm completely healed. I can tell you the news now that there is nothing called completely healed. You're completely healed when you're in your grave. Okay. Yeah.
That's
So
weird. Just for
okay.
everyone or people with PTSD?
Everyone. Oh, me too.
Ah,
I
okay,
will
okay.
never be. There's nothing called completely healed, because
Oh,
the fact that you can work on something is what keeps you alive, going, having life. Otherwise, it's
I
zombie. It's
understand. I just
boring.
don't want to feel like I don't want to even get too close to person or even
No, but you're mixing too
dare.
many things. But you're
I don't
mixing
want
too
to
many things.
dare to love or to dare to love or have a family because I feel like I need to come to a certain point where my dissociation and where I'm not going to be
Too much. So yeah,
afraid.
it's too
This is
much in.
what you asked me. Why am I afraid? How long will it take me? I'm afraid because I'm tired of suffering. That inner child is just saying I
So
can't
okay.
suffer
So
for 2 years.
yeah.
I just
Okay.
can't do it. I am
Okay. Okay.
tired of being dissociated and always in freeze mode. Like I'm afraid of it.
Thank you.
So
Thank you, Corinne.
then I have
Okay. Okay. So
yes.
can I say something? Oh, so I have to go
Yeah.
because we have something. I have to send something immediately. So I will stop now.
Okay.
Okay. I'm sorry. I have to stop. But what I
No.
want you to do is to work on this part for you and to spend time, because you there is too much intellectual milestones. I'm dissociative, I'm PTSD, there are too many things that you put in your vocabulary as roadblocks before to have that, and they're not yours. They've been all imposed onto you. So see if you can start by being compassionate and loving to yourself, and doing whatever simple thing you can start by doing to you. Okay.
Mhm.
And progressively build your work toward that. For example, you're here for healing, forgiveness. Start by, can you
Mhm.
forgive, work on your mom. Okay.
Mhm.
Okay. And start by her, and see if you, because when you forgive her, you forgive yourself as a woman, and you create woman inside of you. So
Mhm.
you do it for you. Okay. So start by that, because otherwise all these other big thing, like the big
Mhm.
plan and the 2 years plan, your system
Mhm.
is freaking out, and it's
Yes.
freaking out, and it's freaking out, and it's actually putting you in freeze state. So
Yes.
in a way, it will not allow you to move forward. Okay. So breathe into this and just start by working on your mom. Just
Mhm.
that, nothing else. Don't associate to any other big things.
Mhm.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Sorry, I need to go. Thank